a radiant bride in a glowing white dress, standing at the altar, vowing eternal love in front of 200 adoring guests. By midnight, she's gone, vanished into thin air. Hours later, her husband stumbles upon her in the last place imaginable, their pastor's bed. This is a story of passion, deception, and a secret so twisted, it'll claw into your mind and refuse to let go. Welcome to Crime Storyteller. Hit subscribe, grab a seat. This one's going to pull you in deep. It's October 12th, 2023, in Willow Creek, Oregon, a quiet little town nestled among towering pines and rolling hills. The air carries the crisp scent of autumn rain, and St. Mary's Church is alive with anticipation. Inside, the pews are packed, family, friends, neighbors, all gathered to witness a union 10 years in the making. At the center of it all stands Ethan Harper, a 29-year-old mechanic with rough hands and a nervous grin, his dark hair slicked back for the occasion. Beside him is Lila Monroe, 27, a kindergarten teacher with a cascade of chestnut curls and eyes that shimmer like a clear summer day. They're the kind of couple that turns heads, high school sweethearts who've weathered every storm to reach this moment. The ceremony unfolds like a dream. Sunlight streams through the stained glass windows, painting the scene in hues of gold and crimson. Ethan's hands shake as he slips a ring onto Lila's finger, his words trembling with devotion. Lila beams, her voice soft but steady as she promises him forever. The crowd erupts in applause when their lips meet, a kiss that seals a decade of love. It's the kind of moment you'd see framed on a mantelpiece, a snapshot of perfection frozen in time. The celebration spills over to the Willow Creek Lodge, a rustic hall just a mile down the road. Fairy lights twinkle overhead, casting a warm glow across wooden beams and long tables piled with food. A local band strikes up a lively tune, and Ethan twirls Lila across the dance floor, her white dress flaring like a flower in bloom. Laughter fills the air, hers bright and infectious, his deep and unguarded. By 10 p.m., they're cutting the cake, a towering confection of vanilla and cream. Ethan smears a dab of frosting on Lila's nose, and she retaliates with a playful swipe across his cheek. Cameras flash, capturing every second of their joy. But perfection doesn't last. Around 11:30 p.m., Ethan steps outside into the chilly night to take a call from his brother, who's running late after a flat tire. The lodge parking lot is quiet, gravel crunching under his boots as he paces beneath a sky studded with stars. He's gone maybe 10 minutes, 15 at most. When he walks back inside, the warmth of the hall hits him, but something's wrong. Lila's not at their table. Her champagne glass sits abandoned, a faint smudge of pink lipstick on the rim. Her bouquet, white roses and baby's breath, lies crumpled on the floor, petals scattered like fallen snow. Ethan's stomach tightens. He calls her name, his voice cutting through the hum of the crowd. No answer. He checks the bathrooms, the kitchen, the dimly lit porch out back. Nothing. Panic ripples through the guests. Someone grabs a flashlight, another dials the sheriff. Ethan stumbles into the parking lot again, shouting into the night, his breath fogging in the cold. The woods loom just beyond the lodge, dark and impenetrable, their branches swaying in a breeze that carries an eerie whistle. By 1 a.m., it's official. Lila Harper, the bride who'd glowed like an angel hours earlier, has vanished on her wedding night. The reception hall, once buzzing with celebration, falls silent, swallowed by a dread that clings like damp fog. Dawn breaks over Willow Creek on October 13th, painting the town in shades of gray. The news spreads fast, whispers in coffee shops, hushed prayers at kitchen tables. Sheriff Dana Cole arrives at the lodge, a woman in her late 40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense stride. She's seen her share of trouble in 20 years on the force, but this feels different. Volunteers fan out across the forests, their boots snapping twigs as they call Lila's name. Divers plunge into the icy waters of the nearby river, their bubbles breaking the surface in futile patterns. Ethan's a ghost of himself, pacing the parking lot, clutching Lila's veil, a delicate scrap of lace that smells faintly of her lavender perfume. The search yields nothing. No footprints, no torn fabric, no sign of a struggle. Dana scratches her head, poring over the lodge's layout. Lila's phone is dead, its last signal traced to 11:45 p.m., right there at the reception. Ethan insists someone took her, his voice raw, his fists clenched, but Dana's not so sure. Then a breakthrough. A security camera at the lodge's back exit, half hidden by ivy, catches something chilling. At 11:38 p.m., Lila appears on the grainy footage. She's alone, still in her wedding dress, the hem stained with dirt. Her bare feet shuffle across the pavement, her head bowed as she walks toward the woods. No one's behind her, no one's ahead. She just keeps going, swallowed by the shadows of the trees. The footage sends a jolt through the town. Online, the story ignites. True crime fans on X swarm the hashtag Lila Missing, spinning theories faster than Dana can read them. Was it an abduction? A runaway bride cracking under pressure? Some even suggest a bear snatched her from the woods, a grisly end to a fairy tale night. Ethan's face appears in a shaky video posted to social media, his eyes red-rimmed as he begs for her return. His desperation is palpable, a plea that racks up thousands of views in hours. Days bleed into weeks. The volunteers dwindle, the divers pack up. Ethan barely sleeps, replaying that video in his mind, Lila walking away alone. Why would she leave? Where did she go? The town starts to move on, but Ethan can't. Then on October 29th, 17 days after the wedding, a tip cracks the silence. A gas station clerk 20 miles south, in a rundown stop off Highway 17, swears he saw Lila on October 14th. She was in jeans and a gray hoodie, her hair tucked under a cap. She bought a pack of Marlboros and a bottle of water, paid in cash, and left without a word. The clerk's certain it was her, those blue eyes, that quiet way she moved. Ethan's hope flares, but confusion chokes it. Lila didn't smoke, never had, not in all the years he'd known her. He drives to the gas station himself, grilling the clerk until the man's story holds firm. Dana pulls the security footage, and there she is, Lila alive 2 days after vanishing. The timestamp reads 3:47 a.m., October 14th. She's gaunt, her movements jittery, but it's her. Ethan stares at the screen, his breath catching. She wasn't dead. She wasn't taken. So what was she running from? The investigation shifts, and a new figure steps into the spotlight, Pastor Jacob Wells. He's 42, tall and lean, with a voice that could soothe a storm and a smile that draws you in. For 5 years, he's been the heart of St. Mary's Church, a man who knows every name in Willow Creek and every secret they've whispered in his pews. He officiated Ethan and Lila's wedding, his hands raised in blessing as they exchanged rings. After Lila vanished, he was there, leading candlelight vigils, brewing coffee for search parties, resting a steady hand on Ethan's shoulder. But Ethan starts to notice things. Jacob's always around, lingering too long, his calm too polished. It gnaws at him, a splinter under his skin. One night, fueled by exhaustion and whiskey, Ethan corners Jacob outside the church. His words are sharp, accusatory, cutting through the stillness. Jacob doesn't flinch. His response is measured, his tone almost too smooth. Ethan storms off, but the seed's planted. Dana picks up the thread. A church janitor, a wiry man with nicotine-stained fingers, comes forward, his voice trembling. He saw Jacob leave the reception early, around midnight, climbing into his black pickup and peeling out of the lot. 10 minutes later, Lila disappeared. Dana's instincts kick in. She drives to Jacob's cabin, a modest place perched on the edge of town, surrounded by pines that block out the sun. His truck's parked out front, its tires caked with fresh mud. She takes a sample, sends it to the lab. The results come back. It's a match for the soil in the woods behind the lodge. The pieces snap together. Dana secures a warrant and storms Jacob's cabin with 2 deputies. The place is sparse, wood floors, a cross on the wall, a faint smell of incense. They tear through drawers, flip mattresses, pry up floorboards. Then in the bedroom under the bed, they find it, a gold band, small and delicate. Inside, an engraving, Ethan and Lila forever. It's Lila's wedding ring. Ethan's called in to identify it. He takes one look and crumples, tears streaking his face. Dana slaps cuffs on Jacob that night. He doesn't resist, doesn't speak, just stares ahead, his expression unreadable. The town reels. The pastor who'd preached love and redemption now sits in a cell, suspected of stealing a bride from her own wedding. But there's no body, no confession. Lila's still out there, or so they hope. Ethan clings to that ring, turning it over in his hands, wondering how the man who blessed their marriage could tear it apart. It's November 5th, 2023, and Jacob's behind bars, facing kidnapping charges. The case seems solid, until it isn't. A hiker trekking through the woods near the lodge stumbles on a burner phone, half buried under a pile of leaves. It's cheap, scuffed, the screen cracked but functional. Dana powers it up, and the call log lights up with a single number, dialed over and over in the weeks before the wedding. It's Jacob's. The texts paint a picture too, messages laced with longing, plans whispered in secret. One from Lila, sent the night before the wedding, reads like a plea to meet after the reception. Jacob's reply sets the time, midnight, at the lodge. The truth slams into Ethan like a freight train. Lila wasn't abducted. She left willingly with Jacob. The affair had been brewing for months, hidden behind stolen glances and late-night confessions. Ethan's memories twist. Every smile Lila gave Jacob at church, every time she stayed late to help with the youth group. It was all a lie. But if she ran, where was she now? Jacob's in custody, claiming he knows nothing, his lawyer stonewalling every question. Ethan can't let it go. On November 7th, he drives to Jacob's cabin under a moonless sky. The place is sealed with police tape, but he doesn't care. He breaks in through a back window, his flashlight cutting through the dark. The cabin's cold, silent, the air heavy with dust. He searches every corner, cupboards, closets, the attic. Then a sound, a faint thump from below. His pulse races as he finds a locked door in the kitchen, a rusty padlock barring the way. He grabs a hammer from Jacob's toolbox and smashes it open. A narrow staircase descends into a basement, the air damp and sour. At the bottom, his flashlight lands on a cot shoved against the wall. On it lies Lila, alive, bound, a strip of duct tape across her mouth. Her eyes are wide, wild with fear, her wedding dress replaced by a torn sweater and jeans. Ethan drops the flashlight, his hands trembling as he rips the tape away. She gasps, her breath ragged, her body shaking. He fumbles with the ropes around her wrists, his mind spinning. She's here alive, but trapped. Before he can get her free, headlights pierce the windows upstairs. A truck engine growls outside. Jacob's back. Ethan freezes, the ropes half untied. Lila's eyes dart to the stairs, her body tensing. Jacob shouldn't be here. He's supposed to be in jail. Ethan's mind races. A bail hearing, a loophole, something he missed. Footsteps echo above, slow and deliberate, crossing the kitchen floor. The basement door creaks open, and Jacob's silhouette fills the frame, a pistol glinting in his hand. The air thickens, every sound amplified, the drip of a leak, the rasp of Ethan's breath, the faint jingle of keys in Jacob's pocket. Ethan grabs a crowbar from a pile of tools on the basement floor, his knuckles white around the cold metal. Lila shrinks back, pressing herself against the wall. Jacob descends, step by step, his face calm, almost serene. He stops halfway down, the gun steady, his eyes locked on Ethan. The standoff stretches, a heartbeat, then two. Ethan's rage boils over, and he charges, swinging the crowbar with everything he has. Jacob fires, the shot deafening in the cramped space. The bullet grazes Ethan's shoulder, blood blooming through his jacket, but he doesn't stop. He slams into Jacob, driving him back against the stairs. The fight is chaos, fists steel grunts of pain. Jacob's gun skitters across the floor, and Lila lunges for it, her hands shaking as she scoops it up. Ethan pins Jacob down, the crowbar raised, but another shot rings out. Jacob goes limp, a red stain spreading across his chest. Ethan staggers back, blood dripping from his arm, his breath heaving. Lila stands there, the gun trembling in her grip, smoke curling from the barrel. Her face is blank, her eyes hollow. Sheriff Dana arrives minutes later, lights flashing in the driveway. A neighbor had heard the shots, called it in. She finds Jacob dead, Ethan slumped against the wall, and Lila still clutching the gun. The scene is a mess, blood on the stairs, the cot askew, the air thick with gunpowder. Ethan's alive barely, his shoulder a mess of torn flesh. Lila's unharmed but silent, her stare fixed on the body at her feet. Dana pries the gun from her hands, her voice sharp as she calls for backup. The night ends in handcuffs and sirens, but the questions are just beginning. The trial hits Willow Creek like a storm. It's early 2025 now, March, just a few weeks shy of today, and the courtroom's packed, every seat taken by locals and reporters hungry for answers. Lila's story unfolds under oath. Jacob seduced her, a slow unraveling that started a year before the wedding. She fell for his charm, his promises of escape from a life she'd outgrown. She planned to leave Ethan that night, to meet Jacob and disappear. But when she tried to back out, Jacob snapped, locked her in that basement, a prisoner in her own betrayal. Ethan corroborates her, his testimony quiet, broken. He found her, fought for her, nearly died for her. But the burner phone tells a different tale, months of texts, a love affair mapped out in cold detail. Lila wanted out, and Jacob was her ticket. Did she change her mind at the last second, or was it all a game? The jury buys her version, self-defense, and she walks free. Ethan doesn't contest it, but he's done. They part ways, two strangers who once shared a dance floor. Willow Creek buzzes with the fallout. Jacob's past unravels, rumors of other women, other secrets buried in his sermons. Lila moves away, her name a whisper on the wind. Ethan stays, fixing cars, living in the shadow of a love that never was. The basement door stays locked, the cabin abandoned, a monument to a night that broke them all. And yet, one question lingers, a splinter no one can pull. What really happened down there? Lila's the only one left to tell, and her lips are sealed. Some say love blinds us, wrapping us in a haze we can't see through. Others say it binds us, chains we forge ourselves. In Willow Creek, it did both, and then it burned the whole damn thing down. So, what do you think? Was Lila a victim caught in Jacob's web, or a mastermind playing a deadly hand? Drop your take in the comments. I'm reading every theory, so bring your A game. Smash that like button if this story kept you on edge. Share it with your true crime crew, and hit subscribe with notifications on. We've got more dark tales coming your way, and you won't want to miss a single twist. This is Crime Storyteller signing off. Stay curious, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next one.